Raw beef suet! Alright, welcome to second edition of Carnivore Staples. Today's staple is absolute major key for getting your fat in, and that is beef suet.
That's what these rappers do.
What the heck is this? You eat this shit? What? Alright, so beef suet is the fat around the internal organs. So actually in the animal, like the kidney was probably sitting like right here. So they got a whole lot of fat in there. And similar to our first video, raw beef suet is a solid form of fat. So it is a raw animal fat. And it is different than the rendered fats such as butter, tallow, ghee, bacon fat. And the reason that we like the raw animal fats is that it's easier to digest, and so you can consume more of this, you know? Rendered fats, if you have symptoms or if you've had bad guts in the past, those rendered fats can actually pull bad bacteria from your gut inside your body, leading to some digestive stress and some leaky gut symptoms. So that's why we feel better digestively and energy-wise when we prioritize raw animal fats such as bone marrow and raw beef suet.
Sounds like we're like someone like an infomercial trying to sell this. But guys, it's very good. So macros on this bad boy, as she just said, lots of energy. For 100 grams, it's 94 grams of fat. So for 100 grams of this, it's 94 grams of fat and only 1 gram of protein. So it's literally straight fat. So if you're having a really hard time increasing that fat amount in your diet to get a higher fat to protein ratio, suet is your best friend, okay?
And honestly, if you are starting carnivore and you're feeling pretty fatigued, most likely your fat is too low.
Yeah.
And fat is ultimately an energy source. So the more fat you consume, the more energy your body can pull from. So get your suet in.
Get your suet in. So nutrient-wise, there really isn't that much information out there about like the nutrients in this. But
there are actually no studies studying the nutrients in grass-fed and finished raw beef suet.
Yes.
So if you are someone who's capable of doing that, hit us with a message below and let's do it. Let's run it.
Yeah.
It's got some good CLA, and we know that a lot of vitamins are fat soluble, meaning they have to be digested by using fat. So another reason to consume your suet.
Yeah, because you'll have an easier time digesting this as opposed to the tallow or the ghee or the butter or the bacon grease, you know?
Yeah.
All right, I'm sold on the suet. Now, where do I find it?
All right, so best bet is gonna be to find your local farmer, www.eatwild.com. Ask your local farmer to set aside some suet. You can also check with your butcher, but we suggest finding a grass-fed and finished farmer because a lot of toxins can be stored in the fat. But anyways, so ask your local farmer, can I get some beef suet? And it's probably gonna come in a package like this. It looks sketchy AF, right? And then just a big old kidney knob.
Or it'll say suet.
Or it'll say suet.
Or something like beef fat.
Yeah, so it's most likely wrapped in like this, and then we're gonna open it up. The big reveal. The big reveal. Oh my gosh, look at how beautiful.
It's wrapped again in plastic.
Wrapped again in plastic.
We're getting there.
Getting there. So here is the beautiful beef suet. All right, Sarah, so now we got our suet from the local farmer. What do we do with it? How do we prepare it?
We get this question so much, like what the heck do you do with this? We keep ours in the freezer, and we like to keep it in glass Tupperware. Alternatively, you could just like wrap it up in this plastic and then shove that into a baggie that you can close. Either one will work.
Use the glass.
Yeah, use the glass, no xenoestrogens. So we keep it in the freezer, and then when we do want to use it throughout the week, we use it every single meal 2 times a day. We just pull this big guy out, or however much is left, and we either pull apart. You can see it kind of spreads pretty easily, some pieces. Pull apart what we're going to use, or we take a knife and we really work into it and portion out the piece that we want, and then put the whole thing back into the freezer until our next meal. We could just get a bigger Tupperware or use a bag, store the big guy in the bigger Tupperware or the bag, and then portion out a piece when it's a little bit more thawed into a smaller Tupperware and leave that in the fridge for 2 to 3 days. But we personally like ours colder and more firm, so that is why we do leave it in the freezer. Yeah, and so when we do prepare it, which she's gonna show, so she's just, she's just really cutting into that there. She's trying. You really
It's pretty frozen.
Choose an end piece. A piece more on the end will be easier to work with. There you go. So you cut into it. It's really not too terrible to work with if it's been sitting out of the freezer for a few minutes. And then show them here.
Yeah. So you can
just kind of peels
tear
off.
it off.
Yeah.
And so that has actually a good amount of connective tissue in it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we like to, you know, portion it off, weigh out how much we want per meal, and
Yeah.
chop it up into little bits.
Yes.
Heavily season it with Redmond sea salt.
So we chop it up into bits a little bit bigger than this. And then yes, as she said, season it with sea salt and then eat with chopsticks.
Yeah, let's eat some on live camera.
It's my favorite. So that segues into what does it taste like? Honestly, it's so good. It's so good. It's gonna be like nothing you've ever had before, to be completely honest, because like mainstream America, we don't really eat like animal fat. Well, we do on our steaks, but it's usually cooked. We can kind of describe it as like a pretty plain, but like somehow very good, like gum in a way, because it's kind of chewy and it will stick to your teeth possibly.
It's just very satisfying.
Yeah, it kind of like
Pretty neutral taste.
if you want to understand the consistency and the texture, it's kind of like candle wax in a way, but
It doesn't taste bad.
it doesn't taste bad, and it absolutely dissolves as if you had eaten like you chewed on it a while. It goes away. It doesn't just stay in your mouth. It's very good, especially you have to heavily sea salt it or else it will be pretty bland. Some people do like to roast it or like crisp it up on the stove, but then you are cooking it and then you are getting some rendered fats from that. So we suggest just eating it raw.
Yeah.
It's like one of our favorite things, to be honest.
Yeah.
Pickaboo, pickaboo, picker. I'm not finna play with you.
Butterfly wings, two plates on Drop the out 2013. White cocoa, butterfly wings.